The dream of home ownership is out of reach for a lot of Americans.
So you might be surprised to see a listing for an upscale home in Seattle for just $200,000. But as Maddie White explains, there is a catch.
So if we're really looking at how do we make housing affordable, we had to get creative.
Getting creative?
I have not seen this before.
To get you a piece of the ownership pie for less.
I think more windows the better, right?
The barrier to entry for a lot of people in this market is just the straight up cost of buying a property.
Here's how the listing agent says it'll work.
You would technically own this space all by yourself for $200,000, and then just across this hallway, somebody else would own this room for $200,000.
You'd have to be okay with sharing the whole downstairs, which comes furnished, with the other owner.
This is what everyone would have access to as co-owners. We've got dining space, living space.
It's called tenant in common ownership. An investor, in this case, is also the listing agent's husband.
It has 50%, and then the people who would have been tenants now each own a percentage of the property.
25% each. In the long run, she says there's the advantage of flexibility over co-buying a home with a friend, because doing it that way,
You don't have the ability to buy and sell your interest separate from one another.
but like this open house guest says,
I think there's a lot of questions that people will have.
another real estate expert not affiliated with the listing
A lot of homework up front.
supports the idea, but says it's critical you ask questions and read the fine print.
If there were any conflicts arising out of it, who ultimately will have a deciding factor?
Maddie White reporting.
Hard pass. Not for me.
If you had a roommate before and you could bring them into that situation, but then you're almost
That
at the point where you might as well just buy the house.
Right.
Right.
Together.
There's a lot.
A lot of
yeah,
questions.
there's a lot of
I'd want the
unanswered. Like, what do you
creativity.
get out of it when you sell? Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's like, well, it's not totally, well, I think the shared part's what's weird about it. Like, you could buy hotel rooms up at some ski resorts here, you know that, right?
Right.
And I always thought
And
that's an
that's
interesting
essentially a
model
condo.
by
Right.
itself. It's
Sure.
a similar concept, but something different about a hotel room.